Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Of course, the news of the week with LSU has been centered around Brian Kelly and his interview with Jacques Doucet from Channel 9. We're not going to buy players. Defensive tackle recruiting hasn't gone that great in the transfer portal, and here we sit in May, and just about every single day, we talk about defensive tackles. We talked about the ones that were in the portal, the ones that were visiting, the ones that committed elsewhere. And now all of a sudden you start to look around. It's like the Will Smith in Fresh Prince deal where you start to look around the empty room being like, well, I don't know if we have any defensive tackles. And it's a tough spot. But reports are surfacing, tweets are coming out that LSU is still searching for defensive tackles in the transfer portal. They're not searching necessarily for guys with a lot of all-conference Power 5 accolades, but they're searching nonetheless. And two names that have come up are JVR Suggs and Camron Douglas. Now, if you're not familiar with these two guys, let me enlighten you as to who these gentlemen are. JVR Suggs is a 6'3", 285-pound defensive tackle from a place that Brian Kelly knows very well. That, of course, is Grand Valley State University. Brian Kelly went to Grand Valley State and coached at Grand Valley State, and he worked with Mike Denbrock at Grand Valley State, and I think Bob Diaco was at Grand Valley State. Like, there's Grand Valley State's running through the bloodstreams over there at the LSU Football Operations Center. And JVR Suggs has played at Grand Valley State for 4 years. He's, last year as a senior, made 21 tackles, 7.5 for loss, and 5 sacks. So a fairly productive defensive tackle at Grand Valley State. I'll be completely honest. Like, there are plenty of stories about FCS football players who have become great FBS or NFL players. I mean, it starts like Jerry Rice was an FCS player, okay? I don't think that JVR Suggs is Jerry Rice, but you get the point there. Michael Strahan, Aeneas Williams here at Southern, Terrell Owens. You're talking about guys like Jared Allen, Robert Mathis, Rodney Harrison, who attended really small schools and were great pros. There are really good football players that play at small schools, but this is a tiny, tiny fraction of FCS football. And when I look at Grand Valley State's schedule from this past year, and I see a schedule that includes Colorado School of Mines, Michigan Tech, Ferris State, Colorado State Pueblo, I just can't help but sit here and think, so that's the guy that's blocking Oklahoma? Or that's the guy that's playing Oklahoma? He's taking on Alabama's interior offensive lineman? That's the guy we want going to College Station? It's admittedly a very, very pompous way to look at it, a dismissive way to look at it, and I am aware of that. And maybe JVR Suggs decides that LSU is the place for him, and maybe he's a starter and is a third-team all-league player. Like, I'm not going to slam the door on that, but I am going to tell you that as I sit here in May, if you're telling me that's the answer to some of your transfer portal woes, I'm going to be pretty skeptical of it. Like, nothing against the young man. It actually has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with that level of football and the level of football that's played down the street here in Tiger Stadium. Like, that's just hard for me to sit here and go, man, this guy's pretty productive. He's an older player. Like, I think this is a hit. And they haven't even gotten a commitment from him yet, so we're ahead of ourselves. But I'm just being honest with you. Like, it gives me great pause to think that you're going from Ferris State to Ole Miss, from Colorado School of Mines to College Station. Like, that's a lot. The other name that we've seen, and Matt Moscona tweeted this out yesterday, is Camron Douglas. Camron Douglas comes from Tennessee. You go, oh, okay, that's more like it. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. That's the requisite size. However, he was a preferred walk-on at Tennessee. Now, he did have scholarship offers from Vanderbilt and Illinois and Memphis and decided to go the preferred walk-on route at Tennessee, and I think that's admirable. to bet on yourself and think, I'm gonna make this happen. It's very similar to the Josh Williams story. So again, you can easily point to some spots where this has worked. But to suggest that it personally gives me a great deal of confidence that this is the crop that you're picking from to back up Jacobian Guillory and Jalen Lee and Sean Washington and Dominic McKinley, like, it still doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies to see where they are. And I hear you if you're the LSU fan that says, see, this is why they should have paid up the cash, why they should have paid those guys that were going to Miami and going to Oklahoma. Not my money, and I don't know how much they asked for, and I don't have enough details to tell you whether it was right or wrong. But I know the facts. Objectively, I can tell you that those guys are not at LSU, and the guys that they're looking at appear to be a notch below that. And it's just gives me a little bit of a pause. I would pose it this way to you as an LSU fan. I would say if Ole Miss brought in a transfer who was a preferred walk-on at South Carolina to add depth to their offensive line, like what would you think of that? You'd go, that guy, the walk-on, couldn't get a scholarship? Who cares? And so as I flip it the other way and go, well, this guy, was on the Tennessee roster for 2 years and never played. It's like, okay, asking him to go in there in the third quarter while Bama's running the rock in Tiger Stadium, like that's a tall ask. So we'll see if LSU can make either one of these work, and then we'll see if either one of these two guys can become a really strong piece to the defensive front. Once again, you're not asking him to be Glenn Dorsey. I don't need Chad Lavallee here. I'm not asking him to be Michael Brockers. But there are levels here, and if you go from Glenn Dorsey to Michael Brockers to probably a level that's going to be left blank to Jacobian Guillory, and then where at this point do you get to the Grand Valley State defensive tackle? Like, where is JVR Suggs in this? Where's Camron Douglas? Always, 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 bodies are better than no bodies at all. So we can have that discussion. But if you're talking about making the playoff, winning a playoff game, competing for championships, and you're telling me you're filling a roster spot here with FCS players and preferred walk-ons, that's hard for me to gather up a ton of confidence from. And again, like, I feel a little bit bad having the discussion because it feels like I'm being dismissive of young men chasing a dream. That's not the point at all. I'm just going objectively with, this is the level LSU plays at. This is the amount of guys that play at this level that get drafted. This is where these guys have come from. This is how many players play at the NFL from that level and get drafted, and the marriage doesn't add up. Something's better than nothing, but it still gives me great pause when I look at this LSU defense as we prepare for the 2024 football season. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.